Well, first Seahawks win of the season, so my first chalk talk. I don't do chalk talk for losers. Actually, that's not true. If there's great football to talk, we'll talk football all season. And Jay Keeps, awesome to have him on the station now and a part of this. And I'm sure over the course of the season, he's going to teach you a whole lot of football as well. It's been fun for almost a decade to do these. And for a lot of years, I've told you, players, formations, plays. Players, formations, plays. Get your players in the best spot. Build the formation to utilize matchups, and then eventually take advantage of the play. I'm not going to go off script entirely this year, but for this game and for the first touchdown on Sunday against the Dallas Cowboys, I would say tempo, formations, plays. It was the tempo of the Seahawks offense that really set up the formation and ultimately the play and the touchdown. This was down in the red zone. This followed a 3rd and 10. Dallas brings a blitz on 3rd and 10. They bust their coverage. They don't peel out with Chris Carson. He catches a swing route. He plows his way all the way to the 16-yard line. And that's important. That's a 3rd down conversion. And you hear Pete talk about that all the time. In order to set up these plays, in order to get into rhythm, in order to establish tempo, you have to move the chains. And they do that. And they get a play into the red zone. And this is actually where Russell Wilson takes advantage of his relationship with Chris Richard. Chris Richard on the other side with the Dallas Cowboys, who knows everything about this guy, but this guy knows everything about him too. And he knows that after a big play and they get into the red zone, what is he going to go to? What is the standard call of Chris Richard and what he knows about football? It's going to be a single safety, and more than likely down in the red zone, it's going to be zone coverage, right? The field gets smaller, zone coverage gets a little bit easier as you spread it out. Those windows get a little bit tighter. So Russell anticipates this, and Brian Schottenheimer, and this is going to be their go-to play. Immediately as Chris Carson gets his first down, Russell Wilson gets everybody to the line of scrimmage. He gets them in a tight formation here. They're only 4 yards off the edge here for both Jaron Brown, who catches it, and David Moore on the other side. They're going to go to the vertical game. Okay, I'm going to expand that cover 3. I'm going to do it from inside out, and I'm going to run my verticals. And I'm going to have Jaron Brown here. I'm going to have Will Dissly here. I'm going to have David Moore there. And I'm going to have Tyler Lockett here. And I'm going to try to expand that zone. And in so doing, for Russell, I'm also going to make sure that this free safety can't be right. So he gets to the line of scrimmage. He gets everybody settled. You'll hear D coordinators say eyes and cleats. Against tempo teams, I got to have my eyes on the quarterback and on the formation. I got to have my cleats in the ground. You saw about 4 of those Cowboys have neither their eyes in the right spot nor their cleats. They're rushing to get their defense set up. So they are ultimately going to get in that 3 deep. Okay, they are going to expand. That middle safety is not going to be right. And ultimately now, Russell's got a choice to make. Am I going to go the 2 vert side with David Moore and Tyler Lockett? If I do, I got a nickel back to deal with. And that nickel actually gets in the way of the seam. Or am I going to go to Will Dissly and Jaron Brown's side, but I have a strong safety here who I can take advantage of, a strong safety who gets outside of the vertical, allowing Jaron Brown to get inside, and credit Will Dissly for busting his tail as fast as he can to get that corner to expand out. And now here are the 2 tiniest and the final last details. Tempo, formation, expand and throw the seam, and ultimately the play. And like many things on these chalk talks through the years, it's the littlest of details, okay? And there's 3 things actually. Number 1, it's Will Dissly. If Will Dissly does not run as hard and as fast as he can, he allows this corner to sink on this seam route. Okay, so he has to bust his tail, number 1. Number 2, it's the eyes of Russell Wilson. It's the eyes and the shoulders as he takes 5 steps back and he makes sure this safety has no chance to get into this window. But not only the safety, it's his eyes and shoulders also affect a Pro Bowler, Sean Lee. And then number 3, and I don't think he throws this pass if Chris Carson doesn't bust his tail and run that little option. Because you'll see Russell finish, you'll see him turn, and you'll see Sean Lee actually break on the check down. He thinks that Russell's running this whole play to just check it down to Chris Carson, and lo and behold, he's not. He's throwing it right over his ear for the touchdown, for the collision, and for an awfully big play that set the table. Tempo, formations, plays.